So what is your perspective of your story, and how can you shift it into something that is positive, into something that motivates you, that lights you up, that helps you see that you are capable of achieving anything and everything that you set your mind to? Our true value is infinite, but our past tells us otherwise. What you believe is what you perceive. And because I believed that my dad didn't love me, I rebelled. I was defensive, and I was offended. We all get so offended. I feel like, especially in America, like we are an offended country. You know, like, don't offend me because I'm going to defend myself. And it's like, you're really just fine as you are. You don't even have to, you know, something with my own children. It's like, you know, they'll fuss at each other. Someone will say something, you know, or like I'll say something about, you know, one of them like picking up their, folding their clothes. Well, Michaela didn't fold her clothes. I'm like, well, I didn't talk about Michaela. I'm talking about you. Like, we do that. It's such an innate, like, part of us. We shift our focus from what could be to, well, this is what happened. Well, this is the reason. Well, this, or this circumstance, and these things are all very real. It's not that they're not real. It's just that we choose to give them space and to give them more power than they deserve. So first, before we go on, I just want to share that judgment is the quickest way to step out of alignment. And alignment, first let me share with you, alignment is when you feel good. You feel so good. Deep down, you just feel like you can accomplish anything and everything. I know some of you have had that moment in your life. Maybe some of you feel that now, or just want to get back there. You feel good, you're having fun, you love who you are. Maybe some of you have never had that moment, and that's okay too. But being in alignment is being in total and complete surrender and control at the same time, and having a lot of fun. When we judge, we are out of alignment. Oftentimes when we judge, we see the darkness in others that is actually within ourselves. We all have the same problem. Fear, that's the problem. Ultimately, within all of us, the same solution is love. The solution to judgment, the solution to being offended, to defending ourselves, simply love. To love others, to see them where they are, and to love ourselves and see ourselves where we are, and to be at peace with it, to be okay with it, to not expect anything from anyone or anything, but also to accept us as who we are, as individuals, as people having one life. Because until you accept that, there's always going to be something else. There's always going to be, and I hate to use the word excuse, but that's what it is. There's always going to be some reason that we can't do this or we can't do that, or a reason we don't believe in ourselves. And sometimes I get it. Like, it's hard. It's hard to, you know, I wake up sometimes and I don't have the joy. I'm like, okay, well, where do I get it? I'm trying to find it, you know? It's not that it's easy. Like I said, everything is hard. But every single step, every single day, every single year, it gets easier and easier, and you learn who you are step by step. It's simply starting. We all desire happiness and to be loved, accepted, most of all. And before you can move forward, I will say this one more time. If there's anyone in your life that you have not forgiven, you must have a conversation. You must do it for yourself. Your business will either lack fulfillment, it will lack the definition of success that you deem it, or no matter how much you succeed, it will never be enough because you never let go of someone else's expectations for you. But once you forgive, it's one day at a time. Just like loss, I miss my dad dearly, but every day that passes, it's a little easier. We focus so much on the bad instead of moving forward. I find myself, like with my dad, for example, I would focus on how he looked that last week, or like all the pain that I went through. But I realized the more that I focused on that, the more sad I got. But whenever I would just instead focus on how grateful I was to have the time and the conversations and to have the amends with my father, the more that I actually had joy. It was very interesting. It's like I was playing a piece of my past over and over in my mind when really that just made me so sad. And I think a lot of times we do that as well in all areas of life, also our business. When we have that phone call, that client didn't book us, and we find out they booked the one down the road, then we go do like a blind inquiry and figure out their prices, and then we're like, well, maybe I need to lower my prices, or maybe I wasn't enough, or maybe, they had this portfolio and I didn't have this location or this venue. It's like there's always something. Seriously. And it's like we spend so much time looking here when we need to look here. The more time you look at anything negative in your life, anything whatsoever, anything at all, you are wasting time, period. There's no value spent in negativity towards yourself, making yourself smaller, not seeing the value in yourself, not forgiving others, seeing yourself as not good enough, all of it. There's no point, there's literally no point. We have to shift our focus into what is possible. I say this to myself all the time. If it's possible, I can do it. If it is a little bit possible, then I can do it. That is so empowering. Later on in life, though, if we don't make that shift and we keep focusing on the bad, we blame our past, the market, or our circumstances. But it's just that. It's placing blame elsewhere when it really was our responsibility all along. See, success is your responsibility. It's your obligation. It's your duty. It's not an option. It becomes a choice. It's something you literally choose if you choose to fail. Failure is a choice just like success is. Because success is something that you never arrive to because you're always setting new goals. Success is simply realizing that this moment is success. That a miracle is something as simple as seeing a new perspective in your father that you never saw before. That's a miracle. That's joy, right? It's living here now, realizing that everything you need, you already have. You are enough. You are worthy. And if anyone hasn't told you that, you're amazing. You have breath in your lungs. You are alive. And you get to live. You get to go out and shoot weddings and document stories. What an amazing purpose you have. We are the storytellers of our never in history has there been a time like this. Ever. I don't even have pictures of my parents when they got married. Holy cow, you guys. Like, can we just take a second and realize how amazing that is? And half the time we're worried about our portfolio. It's like we just have to shift our focus to how can we serve the world better? How can we show people the love that they have between each other so when the going gets tough, they go back and they say, look at the way you looked at me. Can we get back there? Think about the marriages and the legacy clients that through branding and marketing and things that we'll talk about more, you can create legacy clients and in their lives you create impact. It's the things that we don't see. That we focus so much on our business that we miss the beauty of it all. It's not about how much we make. It's not about pleasing other people. It's looking away from the negative long enough to see that we have a purpose here. And it's bigger than anything in our past. And we're going to miss it if we don't look up and look forward and start believing in who you are. When we do give in to those negative thoughts, it places you in a sense of victimhood. That's the position you're in. You become the victim. And none of us deserve to be in that place, but sadly, a lot of times we put ourselves there. I think back to when I was a child. That's the purest me that I can ever remember. The me that was happy to be barefoot, naked, running around, 2 years old, just no definition. No definition of what I was supposed to be. I'm just me. I'm just here. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Well, I guess 2-year-olds do want things, but I'm just me. That's it. And I love freely. I forgive easy. I have an imagination that doesn't have limits. I can dream, I can draw, I can play, I can just be. And that's the piece that we need to get back. That's the part that makes you a great artist, right? So we talk about these things. We talk about wanting to have a great business, but many times these are the pieces that are neglected when really that's what makes you a great artist. It's reconnecting with the you that is deep within. The you that doesn't have to match any standard of success that the world has set for you. That is success, is whenever you see beyond what the world determines to be success. Because your opinion is what matters most. So as time goes on, we learn our place. We give into ideas like, I'll be happy when. And by the way, if you've ever said that, you are literally in bondage because you are dependent on a certain event happening or a goal happening in order to achieve happiness. But the journey is where the happiness is. It's not at the arrival. Because when you get there, if you didn't find journey all along, you're still going to be looking for something else. I've been there many times until I finally realized I'm going to live in my fullness now. I don't need anything to prove that I'm anything for anyone. I'm just me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my past. That's right, baby. 3 marriages. What's up? That's me, you know? And yeah, it's not ideal. I tell my kids all the time, you know, I went through that so you don't have to. But it's who I am. I can't deny it. There's no hiding it. I had to let go of that a long time ago. And there are things that you guys have to learn to let go of. So back to the thoughts we give into. I'll be happy when. There's never enough time. Oh my gosh, that is one that like everyone in this room has said. I don't even have to ask you to raise your hand. I know you have. We say things like, I never get it all done. I can't balance life and work. I'll never reach that level of success. I don't deserve wealth. Right? Because like this is a whole nother topic which we will talk a bit about is the money mindset. Did you watch that 3-part series? I know you, either of you? No, the financial freedom and the advanced business training. I'm just curious. You finished it? Did you like it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, I guess we'll talk later. I'm doing it. I love it. Okay. And you know what, guys? No matter how much money you make, it's never enough. There's that side of it too. Don't get me wrong, it does give you a lot more freedom, and that's why we're here, is because you guys deserve freedom. And a lot of that means you need resources to provide for your families, to serve the world, to travel the world, give impact, give back, tithe, whatever it is you want to do with your life. You got to have resources. And to impact the world, the most purest thing for you is to desire success for yourself. By you succeeding, it impacts the world greater than just your own. So I'll leave that there. But we also give into thoughts like, I can settle for less. It's not all about success. I'm fine where I'm at. Success isn't everything. I'm not worthy. We become everything for everyone. We allow our minds to become overwhelmed with worry, looking back, wondering where the joy went. I know that I had that feeling. There was a certain point when I felt like I don't feel like an artist anymore. I don't connect with why I love what I do. And a lot of times that comes by many different things, but one is not being in alignment. So then we start to attract the clients that we don't want because we're being a mirror for who we're attracting, unfortunately. It is a very, very real reality. This is why we spend so much time figuring out who you are and what you want and what are your strengths. If you guys have been in the branding module, I talk about, what are your 25 strengths? Knowing these things about you helps you learn how to grow into who you want to be so that you can attract the clients that you desire. It is very, very true. Put my life on it. That who you are is who you attract. And it comes out in the words you use. It's the images you showcase. It's how much you post. It's what you come out and say. Your actions are determined by your beliefs. That's really why. But your beliefs are part of who you are. And slowly, we begin to desire what others have we begin to desire what others have, justifying that we deserve it because we work so hard. I've been there too. Like, remember that saying? If I can just do the pictures, I can show you that I can do it. Not honoring their pain or their struggle or what it took for them to get there, right? Because we all have our own story. Not honoring myself at the same time. We learn to push, push, push. All the time living in the past and looking for answers. And when we do this, we minimize our own potential. We mimic the way that others have achieved their success. We think, well, if we do it that way, then we'll be successful. But remember, when we first started all this, I said, it's who you are, it's the habits you have, it's the beliefs you have, that determines your success. So it doesn't matter what business plan you have or how great of a photographer you are, like deep down in your business, success will be determined by you. Many times we struggle with our relationship with money because of this, which is a very, very, very big part of business, especially as an entrepreneur, because we're photographers, so we wear every hat. We're the marketing department, we're the copyright, we're the client management, client expectation department, we're the artists, we're the album designers, we're the editors. You look at these big CEO like Amazon, like Jeff Bezos is like way at the top. That's probably not the best example, but there's lots of moving parts in most businesses. As entrepreneurs, we are everything, right? We're all of it. That's a lot. That is a lot, and a lot of us are doing it all alone. We don't have anyone to say, I've been tracking the numbers, and I feel like, we could probably go up. Or, I think maybe we should reposition our message this way, because they're not responding very well. Most of us don't even track that kind of stuff, right? I get it. It's hard. It's like a lot of where's the time go? I get it. Does any of this sound familiar to you guys? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm in the right room. Okay. So when you feel these things, that connection, from now on, I want you to say, whoop, out of alignment. Whoop, that's not truth. Whoop, that's a lie. You got to cut it off. And it's not anything to be hard on yourself about, because you always have those thoughts. There was someone, I was in the grocery store the other day, and I had a bad thought about the clerk. And I'm like, where did that even come from? The freak, Marissa. What's wrong with you, girl? Get it together. And I realized sometimes we have thoughts. It's like, it just comes. And it's like something from your past. It's a habit. Sometimes it just, literally, you're just like, whoop, okay, well, that was interesting. All you have to do is simply choose differently, right? Give yourself grace. Say, I forgive that thought, and I'm going to choose again, because it's a lifelong pursuit. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and just be non-judgmental, Honestly, you will never wake up and be non-judgmental. That's how we live, right? But we learn day by day by being aware of our thoughts that do not align with joy, love. I ask my kids all the time, did that come from a place of love or anger? Anger. Okay, well, can you say it from a place of love? That's all we got to do, just to ourselves. I just need to, okay, wait a minute. Was that from fear or love? Because I'm operating out of love. Abundance lives where love lives. Growth, artistry, creativity, fulfilling client expectation, booking more, posting more, love. Fear, not posting, not forgiving, judging, lack. I'm never enough, right? So we make sure that our thoughts align with love. So for you guys, I would love for you to just write down a few events in your lives that maybe some of you talked. Write that down again, some of those events. Maybe it's a specific event. Maybe there's something very, very specific that comes to mind again and again from your past. Just take a few minutes and write that down. Negative, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm really proud of you for acknowledging those spaces in your lives. That's the first step. Sometimes it's really hard. Some of you might even be feeling resistant. Like, I don't want to do this. Why am I here? Why is she talking about this? I'm here for photography business. I don't want to do this. But you know what? You're here for a reason. So we're going there. We're doing it. So it's good that you did that. We're going to come back to that. And I want you to hold those for a moment. When we give into fear, all the things we tell ourselves, the box we were put in as a child, we deny love because the two do not coexist. Fear and love are not, you cannot embrace love and hold on to fear. It's not a like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like all the way or not at all. So, thinking about that, I want to challenge you to think about the things you wrote down, to think about them from a place of love, to reconstruct the story. My dad was abusive, physically, verbally, didn't love me, didn't accept me, to my dad loved me so much that he was inappropriate. He loved me so much that he tried to force his way. Doesn't mean it's right. I'm never saying it's right. Never said it was okay. But what I did say is I can see a father who loves me. And because of that, I don't need to justify why I don't forgive him, because that's what unforgiveness is in the first place, is you have to judge. You have to be able to say, I'm not going to forgive you because you did this to me. But if you can think of one moment in your life when you did something to someone else that you might have not meant to do, but it didn't turn out good, or maybe you did mean to do it, whatever the case may be, you can see that we're all human. We all have good intentions. And forgiveness to ourselves and to those that have hurt us in our past is really the first step to success. A lot of times it's positioned in popular realms as something in self-development and something, separate from business, but it is not. It is not separate from your business. If you believe that, it is a lie. There's something in our brains called reticular activating system. I learned about this in pre-med. Basically, long story short, the more you think about something, the more you're going to see more of it. So you can broadcast love, abundance to the world, or you can broadcast fear, doubt. And then when you get clients that fear and doubt your ability, well, kind of have to think about what your thoughts are and what your beliefs are and how are you living your life, because a lot of times those two things are kind of similar. So when you want to buy the Toyota car and you start seeing it everywhere, that's kind of your reticular activating system working. So when you focus your energy, your thoughts in a direction that is not actually what you want, like you want success, you want more weddings, but you're focusing on the lack of weddings and the lack of money and the lack of whatever you feel that you need more of, you're really just bringing more of this instead of focusing on success and believing it's coming and what actions can I take. And a lot of times, honestly, anyone who has succeeded in life, Abraham Lincoln, Jeff Bezos, second time I use them, anyone you can think of, right, has hung on the brink of failure. It's always the failure that makes the success, because the failure is where you learn, right? So we have to focus on love. How can we look at our past or the things that we've done, reposition it, reconstruct it to love? Because until you do, it's just going to hold you back. There's always going to be a well, what if, or but this, well, the circumstance. There's always going to be something. So let me ask you this. Who in this room knows everything? Raise your hand. Dominique knows it all. I love it. Let me ask you this as well. Who in here has ever felt greed? Greed. I think we all have. Who in here has ever judged someone? Okay. Who in here has ever been selfish? Who has had negative thoughts about yourself or your ability? So let me ask you this. We talked a lot about the past, right? Who in here can connect the dots from these things that I'm saying to any of your past events? Some of you? Tell me more.
I try to go and think about I think one of my biggest one is not feeling worthy. But my parents were never the kind to say I'm not worthy, and they've always been very supportive. Um, so anything that I go for, I reach. But right now that I'm with my business, sometimes I notice that I stop myself. When I got really successful, I froze. I was like, this was too easy. And then I stopped. I pushed back. And I don't know why I do that to myself. Why am I self-sabotaging that? And I can't connect, why am I afraid of seeing like all these things that God is giving me, and I'm going back, like I'm not worthy enough.
Was there anything in your life that you achieved success in pretty well? Like really good success? Any area of your life, anything?
That I was successful at?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel I was successful. I've always was very confident, and I mean, I have my chemistry degree. I like what, I mean, I did everything. I felt very. I guess I don't know where I lost my. I guess where my confidence went from very like confident to now I don't feel. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was luck.
Well, and sometimes people are afraid of success, especially if they grew up in the church. I don't know if you have or not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This idea that, well, you're not supposed to be successful because that's greed, that's bad. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're supposed to, like, suffer long and hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I had a hang up with, like, I don't deep down want to have a lot of money because it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
100%.
I don't know if that connects.
No, because my parents, my dad and they own their own business, and they came from zero here as immigrants to building $1 million business. And so they were always taught to be like, you will own your own business. You're not gonna work for someone. You're gonna make it. So for me, when I was doing that, and my parents supported me and everything, I am freezing myself. Like I'm self-sabotaging it, and I don't know how to get out of it.
Do you think it could be fear of failure? Like, yes, you did reach that like peak, but you're scared, okay, if I give it my all, I could fail.
Or like, what's next? You got there, and what's next after that? Like, what's the goal after that?
Well, what if like
Or what if
comparing the
measuring
drive
yourself to your parents? It's possible that if you are more successful than them, does that mean anything?
That's another thing people struggle with too. Yep.
The measuring you to your parents, since you have that example of them being successful, when you hit that success, if you continue to become more successful, is that
No, I
something?
don't know. Because I want to be very successful, but when it was coming to me, I kind of paused. I kind of started to like my first year. I booked 14 weddings, and I was like, that was really easy. I'm making it happen. And then I just kind of like, well, do I want that right now? It was weird. Like, do I want that money? Do I want to be successful? And it was really weird because of my I've always said I'm successful, and they've always said you will be successful. It's always been there, but I just kind of freezing myself, and I'm kind of living in like, oh, I'm like full-time photographer, but I'm fine here where I'm at.
So what are you afraid of?
That's where I'm like, what? Why am I okay being here in this?
Nisha?
One thing that stood out that you said, I think twice, is that it was really easy and you got successful. And I wonder, I'm the daughter of an immigrant, and I know, like, my mom worked really hard.
Yeah.
Not just in business, but in life, and it's really hard, and I wonder if maybe that has something to do with it. That,
Maybe I
like,
feel like I'm not worthy to receive it so easily.
yeah.
Yeah, because see, it is easy when you're in alignment. Because it's not easy when we're focusing on all that's going wrong. But success is there are even.
I'm waiting for it. I want to struggle.
Yeah, it's like.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Julia.
I was gonna say, and this was a strong part of. Oh, I was just gonna say, 'cause this was a strong part of my upbringing and how my parents both really, really worked quite hard to advance themselves beyond where their parents were. Is there this feeling like you have to earn it in a certain amount of sweat? That
Yeah.
also comes from,
Yeah.
you know, what I.
Yeah.
The
I
on my
think
end, it's
that's
also
where I
comes from-
struggle.
And that's like.
How do I get out of that? Like, because I work, I mean, everything I do, I work hard for it, but then with photography, I feel like I'm not really doing anything. Like,
Yeah.
like some people.
Gotta follow this girl on Insta, see her work.
Clients, and I got it so quickly. How did I do it?
There's so
Why,
many different factors.
why me? Like, why could I do it and why can't someone else?
You could be so just naturally gifted, and that's not a bad thing. It's a gift. And it sucks because, I mean, I can say this, but you have to, like, you have to figure it out yourself, which, I mean, I think there's just a lot of different factors in it to kind of, you have to dig a little bit deeper in order to figure out where that root is. And then you can, once you find out that, then you can start to heal from it.
Julia?
It's just that you're gifted, that you know your parents were immigrants and you're not gonna struggle the same way that your parents did. And you just have the fruit from your parents that they struggle and you getting it easy. Then keep moving and enjoy.
Julia? Oh, sorry.
I also just want to say, I think this is something, I don't know if this will resonate with anyone else, but it's something I've definitely seen, is that there's this general conception that, oh, if it's this creative or artistic endeavor, it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be work. And so, like, a lot of people, I think that's also like a concept, like, can be a hang-up when we're just like, oh, we're working really hard at this business, but it's in something that's artistic, something that, like, you should just do it for the love of it. It's like, no, I'm doing it because I love it, but I'm also doing it because I want to make a life out of it. And those two things, everyone resolves those two contradictory ideas differently.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I know, like, even, Devin, can I use you as an example? Devin is very hard on himself. He's a perfectionist, very much so. More with himself than anything else. So we have lots of conversations. And the other day I said, because he did wrestling, and we were talking about, because his parents, which you will meet, they're here, are loving, they are supportive, they are when I think about my parents, I'm like, well, your parents sound great. And, I asked him, I said, well, do you feel like with wrestling for him, because his dad was the coach, his dad was very hard on him, do you feel like you had very high expectations for yourself? And he said, yes. He was very good at it, but he always won. He always won. He always came in first. So now he's always picking apart the things in himself. And it's something, it's like I said, we're a lifelong journey. We're all working on ourselves. The things I'm working on. For you, it could be something from your childhood with sports. It could be a relationship. It could be several different money mindsets that we talked about here. But it is something. It could also be that you are just, I read a quote by Marianne Williamson. I actually said it at the first retreat. Let me see if it's, I don't think I have it here. No, I don't. Okay. But it was basically like, it's not that we fear failure. It's that we fear that our light within is so bright. Sometimes we fear that our success is going to make others feel less than, or our success is too easy. Like, where's my struggle? Like, I'm not looking out for the other people if I succeed. There's a lot of different things that we have in our minds, but ultimately, even the faith. I use Devin again. He was raised Mormon, and that is a huge thing with the money. It's a very, very big thing, especially in the Christian walk. And you know what? The more that I read it, the more that I see it's actually the mindset that money makes. It's not the money. Because in Proverbs, it talks a whole bunch about how we're supposed to be rich, and we're supposed to be wealthy, and we're supposed to do good to the world. Yes, that's what we're meant for. We cannot create any impact if we don't have an ability to provide for others. Because I also read a book, it talks about how in poverty, right, the best thing that we can do for the world is to help people with their mind. Because so they can go and be empowered to create their own success. But we can't figure that out until we do it ourselves. So it's like if we just stay where we are and we say like that success, like, oh gosh, what do I do with this now? It's like, keep going.
I know, but how do I freeze myself? I literally have made myself stay at this level.
You have to start taking a daily account every single morning. I am pressing into the fullest part of who I am meant to be. And you read your books, you do your meditation, you spend some time. You have things throughout your day. You should have a lock screen on your phone, the opposite of whatever you keep thinking yourself. You remind yourself constantly. You put on the mirror, you put on your screen on your computer. You remind yourself. When you keep a journal by your desk, thought comes up, I don't want that. You got to shift it and say, wait a minute, nope, forgiving that thought, I'm choosing again. I'm going to choose differently. And you do it over and over and over until the habit is broken. But it's like I said, you're not going to wake up and just be like, okay, I'm successful today. It's like, it's there for a reason. There's something within all of us because we are all programs, right? Like, I think I read something that said, I read lots of books, so you're gonna hear me say I read. But like at the age of 35, it's very hard to change a personality at that point. It's okay. Hey, but you know what? Is it possible? Then you can do it.
I have a suggestion that might help. So kind of how you were like talking about coming from more of a place of self-love. When it comes to I'm not worthy because my parents worked harder than I did, maybe kind of change that mindset to my parents worked hard so I could be here.
Yes.
And they would be so proud of me, and they are probably so proud of me.
And even this too, that brings this to mind, and for all of you. I know I'm talking to Lynette, but I'm really talking to every single one of you, okay? Is if you were your child, what would you tell yourself? See, that's a different perspective. That's a whole different perspective. If we loved ourselves like this was our child, you wouldn't dare say, oh, baby, don't go for that success. It's too much, too easy. You'd be like, no, baby, keep going. You're doing so awesome. You've got this. One step at a time. But it becomes more of a habit the more that you listen to that voice. So that's where I would keep doing some journaling. And I think the more that you become aware of this and the more that you practice that self-control, if you will, of like, okay, wait, I recognize that thought. Like I had of that clerk. It was a bad thought. It wasn't even my thought. I'm like, choose again.
So like the subconscious mind is very powerful. So when you speak negative words about yourself, your mind and like your body doesn't know the difference if it's like
Yep.
joking or not. But when you're like, oh, I'm not worth it, or like I can't really do that, like you don't tell the difference. Like your body like doesn't. You'll start to believe it and it'll start to manifest because you literally can't tell the difference. So like something could happen like that, like subconsciously like blocked out. Because mine's very powerful. So you can go through trauma and block it out and not remember that it even happened.
Yep.
Which is like the whole journaling thing is a great thing. And like there's like meditations you can listen to that'll help tap into that stuff. But yeah, mine is very powerful. Just like speak positive and like I can do this. Like it's okay, it's easy. I'm worth it. It's worth it. Like I am worth this being this easy for me because like now I feel like God given talent for me. Like it's worth it. Like I'm worth it. Everything's worth it. And then once the more you like speak it into existence, the more you start to believe it, and then the more your mind will shift and start to like show you more of it.
And then your actions follow.
Yeah.
And the action is the part that we see. Yes, thank you. By the way, none of this was planned. I love it so much.
Dominic reminded me of one of my favorite quotes. Think you can or think you can't.
Oh, wait till you hear what I got coming, baby. Yes, I got something coming for you. You're gonna like stick around. So Lynette, I'm happy to talk more later this week if you're like, hey, I think I figured it out, or like whatever, you know, I'm any of you, like you always can pull me aside, you guys. I love y'all. So, piggybacking off of that, and I feel like so many things that y'all shared and you guys were like coming in together, like every single one of you in this room probably was like, yeah, that's me. I feel like I can't succeed more than my parents. I actually have a good friend of mine who struggles because her parents never made more than $60,000. And she feels like she shouldn't be able to do that because she feels like she dishonors her parents when she makes more. It's a whole thing. So like wherever your beliefs are, wherever you sit with money, it's real. I get it. But there's a way out of it, and it's just choosing to begin. That's it. So it's just, and that's what people say to me, you know, I wasn't planning to say this either, but you know, people tell me things because like our accountant, for example. I tell y'all get a good accountant because all y'all talk about, you know, taxes and stuff, especially if you get in those advanced business trainings, they got a ton of talk about accountants. You need to get a good accountant. Okay, anyway. Oh, Brandon graduated college in accounting, so he's pretty smart too. Talk to him. Yes, there you go. I love it. So I was talking to our accountant and like, you know, people just slowly find out like, okay, what does this business do? What does this business do? You know, and so we have our wedding photography, we have wedding education, we homeschool 3 children, all with learning. By the way, Micah, Michaela, and Noah all have ADD, and then Michaela and Noah are dyslexic. So we homeschool them. We also just recently got into real estate financing. We're designing and furnishing a boutique hotel. That was a whole jump. So like when you talk about, yep, you got it. It's scary. It is scary. People tell me, how do you do all that? Like, I'm just trying to do my one business. And like, oh, and we're moving also next month. And I plan this retreat too with you guys and with all of our amazing vendors. And you know what I always say? It is one day at a time. That is it. It's all hard. We also have 4 dogs and 2 cats. Yes. So, it's one day at a time. You expand your ability to handle things, to emotionally operate, and we're going to get into that. So I know we're getting ready for lunch here, so I'm gonna move quickly. Dinner, yes, dinner. So listen. Okay, if we don't take control of what is happening to us, we will have regrets. So like you, Lynette, if you don't take control of this right now and say, this is my responsibility, I am in control of my life and my decisions, one day you'll look up and be like, well, what could I have achieved? Gosh, if it was that easy, what could I have done? And that's worse than the fear of succeeding. The regret is something that you cannot change. I cannot get that time back with my kids, but I can be the mother that I want to be today, right? We do not know everything. And I also read something recently that 3/4 of the jobs that our children, like, and maybe even if you guys don't have kids, will have kids, or friends' kids, whatever the case may be, the next generation, they don't even exist yet. That's insane. Like, our world is changing so quickly. Everything that we know is from our experiences, what we've been taught, what we've been told, and that's mostly from our parents and the people that we've been around, the schools we went to, which also that depends on the state that you're in, and you know, then we're getting into the educational system, and you know, that's a whole nother thing. So it's, yep, exactly. So it's like what we know, we live our lives as if we know everything, like really, but really we have to realize that like we know so little. So what is really possible is so much more than what we actually realize. But because of our past and because of negative thoughts that we have, habits we have within our mind, we don't realize, wait a minute, I can do that. I can be that. So I would say that our ability, creativity, and possibilities are limitless. We just have to acknowledge it and be okay with it. It's like we're okay with not, you know, believing in ourselves, but sometimes we're not okay with believing we're limitless. It's like so backwards, right? It's like, where's the love for who we are? Like, we are so unlimited. There's no limit. So your word for yourself needs to be limitless. If any of you are looking for a word to grab tonight, it's limitless. That is you. You are limitless. When we pursue our goals using our past, we are limited because we have a limited understanding. We've only been on this earth a few years. We don't know it all. And that is, the most successful people are those that are the most humble and the most willing to admit they don't know it all. Because pride comes before the fall, right? This is how it goes. Our understanding is finite and we aren't able to see with clarity and wisdom, thus never fulfilling our true potential. Looking back, blaming it on the past, circumstances, the market, XYZ. And this is where most people get stuck. But you won't, because you are committed to learning the balance of control and surrender. And yes, you can do both. Because see, when you look at your past and you learn to shift that perspective and look at it through the eyes of love, you can see like, okay, maybe this happened, or maybe I was rejected because I was directed a new way. Many times in our life, we are rejected. We didn't get that booking because something better is coming. But we're all caught up in what we think we want in our time, when really it's not about our time. Many times, it's going to end up at a better place and a better time than you could have ever picked if you're just open to it. That's it. That's why when things don't go your way, it's not about getting emotionally attached to that event. There again, I'm happy when, right? We shift it and say, okay, that didn't work out. What can I do next? Because if you're worried about why it didn't work out, that moment's over. It was over 5 minutes ago. Let it go. It's done. It's over there. We got to look ahead. Because if you don't look ahead, you're just stuck here, right? We don't have time for that. None. This is one life. Okay? Control and surrender. These are two ideas that honestly the last 12 months I have really come to a place of clarity that that is where joy lives. I really truly believe it. To have that mindset of, I'm going to control what happens to me, I'm going to control how I respond to what happens to me, and I'm going to control where I place my focus and the words that come out my mouth. But when it doesn't go my way, I am ready to surrender because something better is coming. All right? Well, I was trying to control it, but now I'm going to surrender it, and it's all right. Now I'm going to take control again and keep going.
I have a quote I feel like might kind of go along with this. If anybody follows me on Instagram, I posted about it.
Speak louder. Follow her on Instagram, she said. No, I said if you do follow me, I posted this.
Okay, so there's this quote, he's a psychologist, right? And I found him on TikTok, ironically. Basically, the quote is, we shouldn't strive for happiness, we should strive for contentment and peace.
Yes.
Because that's what's going to carry us. We don't do things because they make us happy, we do things because they matter.
Yes. I love that. That is true. 100%. Thank you for sharing that. So don't get stuck there. Peace is knowing that everything's going to be okay, but also knowing that you have a lot more control and that you're limitless and that you're able to do everything. Like to know that you're unlimited, but to be okay with everything that happens to you, to accept everyone where they are, to love instead of to fear. When we realize this truth, we become open to creative possibilities. A lot of times we're not open to those creative possibilities when we're focusing on what should have been in our way, in our time. But whenever we open ourselves up to creative possibilities, we see more opportunity, thus we take different actions. So this stuff is like really a big deal. This is like everything. So this is where miracles, peace, and joy live. I want to give you a challenge while you're here. If you were royalty, which we're here at the beautiful castle, so why not? How would you act if you were born with a belief that you were meant to rule, right? Would you settle for average? No, because that would mean the people in your land would have to suffer too. That's not okay, right? You would have a responsibility. You would seek extraordinary things, and you would protect your wealth. You would determine the standard of excellence because you are the one making the decision. You're the one everyone looks to. It's not about the world's definition of excellence. It's not about the world's definition of success. It's your definition of success that matters because you're royalty. Success would be your duty. In doing so, you would assume control of everything. Things don't happen to you, they happen because of you. And I agree also with Kristen. That was one that took me a while to sit on. Because loss is one of those things that I lost my brother too, by the way. I didn't share that. I actually lost both of my brothers. One I didn't know, so, I saw him. We weren't close. But my other brother died from alcoholism. It was very, very tragic. So my heart is with those of you that have experienced that loss. But for the sake of our lives, aside from those elements, things happen to us, not to us, but because of us, right? We have to take that mentality. And if there is something in your lives where it is hard to embrace that, I want to leave an open space for those things to not dwell there. Because sometimes it is unfair. But for the most part, we're going to say things happen because of us. And we're going to take control and surrender when it doesn't go our way and take control again. There is also no shortage of success. Ooh, that's a good one. Because a lot of times I feel like people are like, well, they got that booking, so I didn't. But there is no shortage of success, only the belief that there is. There's unlimited success for you. Money is being printed. It's yours. Just claim it, right? And there's so much more to it than just that. But truly, to step into this greatness, you must let go of the past. Forgive those that have hurt you and yourself. You must commit to the lifelong journey of learning to manage your emotions. And that is the key to it all. Your emotions are worth honoring, they're worth acknowledging, but then you can choose something else. You can choose to act in a way that doesn't align with the emotions you feel. And a lot of times, I will tell you, you just smile, it changes your brain chemistry. It's a fact. You stand in a power stance and start to feel more powerful. Do this before a call. Guarantee you're going to feel a little bit more confident. There are things and tools I'm going to give you throughout this week that will help you have the tools you need to say, I feel like crap right now. Woo, I feel good. I'm going to change it. Start walking in alignment of who you are. Yes. I'm standing here before you, not because of my successes, but because of my past. Because it's my past that I was able to use and to shift my perspective to see it in a way that has empowered me. It also has given me wisdom. So when things don't go my way, I can look back and say, well, hey, you know what? It actually did work out that one time, and this isn't so bad. I'm going to figure this out. Because everything can be figured out. If it's possible, you can do it, right? You are limitless. So as you hold on to those events that you identified, I want you to challenge yourself to say, how can you gain understanding and sympathy for those that hurt you? How can you have gratitude for your past? To be thankful for the pain. It's a hard shift, but I am so thankful for all the pain that I endured. Because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have my 3 children. I wouldn't have Devin. I wouldn't have each of you in my lives. I wouldn't even, where would I be? Not here. Might not even be a photographer. That would be terrible. You know? And how can we create a new story of overcoming? Because that's just it. Your story's not over. It doesn't have to be over. People get stuck in the past, and really it's like, let's choose the story we're moving in. Because this is one life. This is just the first part of your story. And you are an overcomer. So how are you going to overcome? It's all in the decisions that you make. So you decide to accept failure, or you decide that it's part of the journey, right? You decide that they were wrong, or you decide that they had a good heart, or whatever it may be. Each of you have different circumstances, but you can restructure your story to empower you. So this is a new chance. I know I said no second chances, but maybe there's one time in life right now you get a second chance. Maintain this new perspective of your past. It is going to be hard, but it's hard anyway. So let's push into the hard that's actually worth it. It's going to be hard to move forward. Right now you might have good feelings about this and moving forward, but it's going to be a daily pursuit. And as I said, I'm going to give you guys tools. Average versus extraordinary. All your life, people have told you what it meant to succeed. And most of the time, what they are telling you is their definition of average. So you decide, what does it mean to you? Because average is not what we're alive for. Extraordinary is what we are here to do. Extraordinary things for ourselves, for our families, and for the world. Success is your duty. And Brandon, glad you're here. I will close with this poem, Napoleon Hill. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but don't think you can, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can win any prize. Life's battles don't go away to the stronger or faster man. But sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. All right, guys. Dinner is served.